data. Already in the order. Other parts. One second here. You call it. I'm going to help. Good. What's up, Mr. Tom? Welcome. All right.
You bring the computer in. I get it.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order tonight. Appreciate everybody coming out. We're going to open with our opening prayer and our pledge of allegiance. So if everybody would please stand and remove your hats, that would be great. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us all together tonight to serve our town. Thank you for all the community involvement we get. Thank you for the community you've blessed us with. Let us use your knowledge and your wisdom in making decisions tonight, and God, your guiding hand to let us go out into this community and make it a better place to live. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic Thank you. So we're going to move to the public comment section. I just want to remind everybody that if you're here for the Flybridge discussion, that's not on tonight's agenda, so that will be on a future agenda item. Just if you're here, you're welcome to stay, but if that's what you're here for, we're not going to be discussing that tonight. So we do move right into the public comment, and don't have anybody signed up for public comment right now. So that's pretty simple. So we'll move to the adoption of the agenda and consent items. We can adopt it all in one motion if anybody would like to make that motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So the motion passes. And we're going to move right on along quickly to appointments, recognitions, and presentations. And Alyssa is going to come up and give her presentation to us.
Good evening. We are looking at board appointments this evening due to expiration of terms and resignations for our Planning Board, Tourism Development Authority, and our Parks Board. This was tabled from your December 10th meeting to allow time for additional applicants. After putting out a call for applications, we received 3 additional applications, and the records have been updated for the amount of applications on file for each board. So at this time, we would like you to consider appointments to those 3 boards.
Okay, so the first one we'll be considering is the Planning Board. And do I have, we've got 1 that's not re-seeking and 2 that are seeking reappointment for the Planning Board.
I'd like to move that we accept the ones that want to stay. Do we have to vote on that, I guess, first off, as in retain those who wish to stay on the board?
Yeah, we would have to do that.
Okay. I so move that we take a vote on retaining those 2 appointees who want to stay.
Those 2 being Jerry Seaton and Tim Vinoy, right?
That's correct.
Yep. So could I get a second on that?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so that motion passes unanimously. And now we've got to get a reappointment for the person that's not seeking. Anybody have anybody they'd like to nominate or put forth to the board?
I nominate Mr. Tom Perotti.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on that?
Yeah, I just want to say that for the little while I've known Tom, I think he's an upright guy that is going to do good things for the town. He's not afraid to speak out on the issues, and he will definitely enhance the planning board. Well,
Anyone else? I just want to, yeah, go ahead. Anybody else? I just want to add to what Joe said. Tom's a pretty straight shooter, and he'll judge fairly, I think, by what's presented to him. So I'd like to bring that to a vote. Then we had a second on that.
second.
Okay. All in favor of Tom Perotti being appointed to the planning board, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so that passes unanimously as well. So congratulations and thank you for your commitment. There you are. Okay, Tourism Development Authority. So we've got Randy Swanson, who wishes to stay reappointed, Jack Kernakowitz, who would like to be reappointed, and then we're going to have a opening for 1 seat that's not seeking reappointment. And so does anybody have anybody they'd like to put forth for the Tourism Development Authority?
I'd like to nominate Steve Overman.
Okay. All right. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion by the board?
I didn't hear his name.
Stephen Over.
I know that there's been an issue in the past, question about his residency. We went through the books, and it's not a requirement. Believe me, we dug in it deep. He's been eager to be on that board. He does represent. Might have to tilt your head a little bit to see the part of the tourism
agree with you.
board.
And last,
Mm-hmm.
come back this time, so you determined to do this,
I think so too.
got this much desire.
Mel, Jeff, that might not have been what you were saying. I'm sorry.
Well, you know, my feelings about it. I prefer at least somebody in the county. He's over in Carteret County, not even part of Onslow County. Be different
But
if,
there's
you know,
literally not.
if he lived in Hubert, or
There's
something
not a
like.
restriction on it.
But-
We considered that, Jeff. We looked at it. We called John and find us a reason not to do it. There's no reason not to do it. I say we need to do it.
He also serves on Swansboro Area Chamber of Commerce,
Yeah,
so he's
He's
involved
he's
in
deeply
Swansboro.
involved in Swansboro. I don't know what he's doing for Carteret County. I know what he's doing here, though.
And the other thing about it that pretty much sticks at me is, from my understanding, but I know I'm not wrong on this, he resigned from a board in Carteret that he was serving.
Sure.
After he was elected. That makes me question,
So did Larry.
how much?
So did our guy Larry. He resigned as well, from an elected position.
Okay, so any more discussion on it?
Nope.
I just know that Carteret's got a lower problem.
Okay, so Joe, was that a motion that you made for Stephen Overby, right?
I'd make a motion for Steve Overby.
You did, and you already did a second, yep. All right, so let's vote on it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so it passes 4-1 for Stephen to be on the PDA board. Okay, so next is Parks and Recreation. We have two that aren't seeking their reappointments, and we have one that wishes to stay on. Jennifer Steele would like to stay on. So let's consider that one first if we can. Does anybody have any? Okay, so I have a motion to reappoint Jennifer Steele. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion by anyone? Okay, all right, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so that's unanimous for Jennifer to stay on the board. Now, we have two positions that are coming open, and do we have anybody that you'd like to put forth?
I'd like to nominate Betts Love.
Okay, so we have Betts Love, and anybody have a second for Betts Love?
Second.
All right, so we have a second, so we'll go to a vote on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Well, yeah, you like that discussion? That'd probably be a good thing.
Jeff, what can you tell us about it? A little bit so the folks can understand.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, she's retired. She was a stewardess for many years. She
flight attendant?
lives close to the park. She's looking, a little change in her life, and she's looking to keep busy and doing stuff. And she's constantly over at the park walking around. And she stopped me one day and said, "Hey, I need to do something for the town. I like the parks." And I'm like, "Well, you're the person." So I think she's highly motivated, and she was ready to go last year.
I don't know a whole lot about Betts, but, I value
Guess we're
Jeff,
gonna find
I value Jeff's opinion. All righty. So we have a first and a second. And any more discussion? Okay, all in favor of appointing Betts? Betts Love, aye?
Aye.
All opposed? So she passes unanimously. We have one more spot available. We do have an ETJ, but I don't think we have anybody in the talent bank in the ETJ, so
Correct.
we'll let that one go still. So if anybody knows anybody that's in the ETJ that's interested in parks, or really any board, it'd be great if we had some ETJ representation. Okay. What's that? I didn't see that. So do we have another, nomination for the board?
I would like to reached out to us. We should call this extensive background, customer service. I think he'll bring some good opinions. Talks to the folks that are visiting. Up against. Takes in, good listener.
He's also has some experience at event coordination. I think he will bring,
Events.
some assistance to Anna and the group over there.
Okay, so any more discussion? Okay, did we have a second on that?
No.
A second.
Okay, all in favor of appointing Ryan Swanson to the Parks and Rec?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye. So it passes unanimously. So thank you very much for your applications. All right, we've got one more appointment.
Well, I would like to return back to the TDA. Did you guys want to make a motion to reappoint those interested in
Oh,
reappointment?
That's probably a good idea. Thank you so much. Yep. So we have on the TDA, that would be Jack Bernakowitz and Randy Swanson. Do I have a motion to reappoint the two of them?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? So thank you very much for keeping your name in the hat.
We got everybody and we have appointments made. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Our next agenda item is the East Carolina Council appointment. Annually, a representative selected to serve as a local jurisdiction representative on the East Carolina Council General Membership Board. At this time, we are asking for the board to select an individual to serve that seat for the 2025 year.
I heard a rumor that John Barley would love to do it.
I'll second that.
Is that a motion, Bill?
Yeah, that's a motion.
Regional challenges, I think.
Okay, so I have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So it passes unanimously, and thank you so much, John, for stepping up.
I seen him jump right up.
I know.
I can tell you wasn't that.
Okay, so we're going to move next to our public hearings and rezoning request. Rebecca, if you'd like to come up, that would be great.
All right, good evening, everyone. So tonight we are hearing a rezoning request for 1149 Hammocks Beach Road, and I have the parcel pulled up here on the PowerPoint for you guys to reference. It's on Hammocks Beach Road, very close to the Walmart intersection. So Shannon Weaver, on behalf of property owners David and Linda Camp, has submitted a zoning request for 1149 Hammocks Beach Road from RA, which is rural agricultural, to B1 business. The property is further identified as tax parcel ID 1319-66, and the total acreage requested for rezoning is 0.77 acres. So here is our current zoning map. It's a little hard to see, but there's a red circle and arrow pointing to the parcel. It's that very corner of what's now zoned RA, which is rural agricultural. As explained in the application package, Shannon Weaver is under contract to buy the property, contingent on if the rezoning is granted. She plans to use the existing home on the property and turn it into office space for her engineering firm. With its current zoning, this use is not permitted. Additionally, the CAMA Future Land Use Plan labels this property as low-density suburban neighborhood, which we have here is our CAMA Future Land Use Plan. And again, the area circled in the light yellow is our low-density suburban neighborhood. It borders right on our suburban town center, which again is the Walmart area. which is typically, what it's zoned or labeled as now is typically used for residential neighborhoods, but the section also mentions small-scale non-residential may occur at key intersections or significant public resources if it's near one of those. Given the property's proximity to Walmart, which I would interpret as a significant public resource, this request appears to be consistent with the future land use plan. Here is the section from that where it explains where small-scale non-residential could be considered at key intersections or significant public resources. Also, the suitability analysis found in the CAMA land use plan labels this property as most under urban suitability. So this is our suitability map, and the darkest purple is the area that's labeled most suitable for urban development, which could be housing or commercial. And that property does fall within the dark blue area on that map. It's also important to note that while it is not in the current plan to develop the property, if rezoned to B1, any uses permitted in the B1 zoning district would be applicable at any point in the future with proper permits and applications that are needed. This rezoning was recommended for approval by the Planning Board at their December 3rd regular meeting as consistent with the CAMA future land use plan. Okay, so that is a brief overview of it, and the property owners as well as the applicant are here, and once we open the public hearing, they would like the opportunity to speak to you guys as well. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys may have.
Okay, so Rebecca and I discussed we'd like to do the public hearing first before we do any discussion. So if that's all right with the board, everybody? Okay.
Sure.
So we've got Shannon Weaver. If you'll just step up to the microphone and I need to, I'd like to open a public hearing. Go to close it,
A motion to open the public hearing.
right? No, just to close it, yeah. Okay, I'd like the motion to open a public hearing. Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right, so now, thank you for putting up with me. I'd like to ask Sharon Weaver to come up and state your name and address and make your public comment.
Oh,
Shannon
I
Weaver?
think Mr. Camp, the homeowner, would like to go first if that's okay.
Sure, that's fine. So that's David and Linda Camp. Like,
Yep.
if you'll state your name and your address and basically about 3 minutes, if you would, please. Now, keep
I'm
it as
not-
long like that.
I'm
We're
not
not
much
going to
of a-
cut you off.
I'm not much of a speaker, so my wife Linda and I live on 1149 Hammis Beach Road. Camp's our last name. Thank you for letting us talk. We've lived at 1149 Hammock Beach Road for 35 years. When we first moved there, you could count any day and time about 10 or 12 cars go down the road all the way to the water. It has grown substantially since then. We bought the house to raise our son. My wife worked at Captain Charlie's for 34 years. I was a commercial fisherman and a charter boat mate. And we really enjoyed raising our son there in high school and all that. And we also bought it for potential selling later in our life. Where we're located, I don't know what the name of that ditch is north of the house, but from the Hammock townhouses north, there's only 2 of us houses left that are not in commercial, B1. And that's Mr. French's house and ours. Everything else above that is the same. When we decided to put our house up on sale, we got an offer from Miss Weaver. And when we found out what she wanted to do with it, it was very important to us that good people moved in there and took over. And she wants to make a small business office out of the house. and keep everything pretty much the same, and we were 100, and still are 100% behind. I would ask the board to consider keeping it B1. Thank you.
All right, anybody have any questions? Okay. All right, thank you for your comments. Okay, now, Ms. Weaver, if you'd come up. And just state your name, yep, your name and address, please.
Thank you, Rebecca. Hi, I'm Shannon Weaver of 222 Martian Court, Swansboro, and I am the sole owner of Larian, a small structural engineering firm located here in Swansboro. And I just would like to take a minute to introduce myself to the board, clarify my intentions for the rezoning application, and give just a little bit of background on my small business. I've been a resident of this area since 2002. I opened my business in 2012. I worked out of my home for a few years, and I transitioned to the space that I currently rent on Queens Creek Road in 2016. I have 5 employees located at Fort Meade and Fort Liberty for contracts that are specific to the Army. My office here in Swansboro is typically 2 to 4 people, including myself. Right now, it's myself, one other engineer. Sometimes I have an admin assistant and a draftsman or an inspector. This property is a good fit for my small business. I intend to keep the exterior just as it is. I may realign some of the interior walls to be more accommodating to office space. I intend to use this for my office for at least 10 years into my retirement. Unless I hit the lottery, I got at least 10 years left to work. My daughter graduates architect school in May, and she has expressed some interest in potentially taking over the business in the future. So there's the potential that this could remain a small architectural engineering firm for many years into the future. I would just like to reiterate some of what Ms. Rebecca has shown in her presentation. It was shown in that suitability analysis as in the zone most suitable for urban development, for commercial or development, residential. It is close proximity of Highway 24. It is amongst those smaller homes that some of which have already been rezoned B1. There's 2 on the Hammocks Beach side of the intersection that have been rezoned. There's 2 on the other side of Highway 24 that were older homes that have been rezoned already. One of the concerns that I heard at the planning review meeting was how do you keep commercial growth from encroaching further down Hammocks Beach Road? And your current land use plan is what prevents that. The suitability analysis, the urban development stops right at this parcel. You already have existing buffer zones with the 30-acre cemetery that abuts this parcel, and the soccer field is across the street. And in my opinion, those act as nice transition zones between, excuse me, I'm getting nervous, between commercial and residential use. I would like to point out that my business is not one that I see as a nuisance. We work standard business office hours. We don't create noise. There won't be a lot of traffic in and out of my business. There should be no more of a traffic impact than if it were to remain a 3-bedroom house. And I just would like to point out, I am not a developer. I am a small business owner. I'm just looking for something to own instead of rent. This looked like a good opportunity to me. It's a good fit for me and my small business. And it is in alignment with your current land use plan. I see it as a reasonable request. And I thank you for your time and consideration. If you have any questions for me, I would be happy to answer them.
Anybody have any questions? Ms. Weaver?
Structural engineering right now. My daughter will be an architect.
The reason I say that, we might have some business for you in the future. At least we like to stay
Yes.
local on some things. We're trying to build this thing called the EOC.
Yes,
So-
I would welcome any one that wants to call
So I'm
me to
just-
talk business.
Competition's good, right?
Of course.
It's a good thing.
Yes.
And you're relatively, like, how long have you been around the area? You said Since 2002?
I've been in this area since 2002, at my current address since 2007.
Okay.
My
Alright.
business, I opened it in 2012.
Now, because engineering is a wide field. I mean,
Sure.
there's some engineering processes that make a lot of noise and produce product, and yours is pretty much, paper, pens, and draftsmanship, and then calculations, and a lot of science, and a lot of trig, I guess, yeah?
Yes, sir,
Physics.
that's correct.
Okay. That's it.
Anybody else?
Doug thought she had a bulldozer.
All righty, there's no other discussion, so I'd like to close the public hearing.
Thank you for your time.
Yep, thank you. All right, so now we're going to consider, for request, I need a motion to approve or deny ordinance, 2025-01 to rezone 1149 Hammocks Beach Road from RA, which is rural agricultural, to B1, which is business. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Go ahead, Jeff.
Recently, not too recently, I was reading an article in the North Carolina Municipal Magazine. They were talking about how towns, especially our size, are giving up residential property for business. And they don't understand why it's being done. Because what it's doing is taking business and pulling it closer and closer to neighborhoods. And at what point do you draw the line? If you don't draw the line, it's just going to keep going and keep pushing residents out, pushing businesses in, especially in, for lack of better terms, a tourist area. It's disappointing. The last 3 years that I've been on this board, I've been seeing more than one every year. Nothing against the current applicant, but I think we need to start doing something. We can't, can't voluntary annex people, involuntary annex people. We're being constrained so much by the state, and you have people coming to us saying, what's going on? Why don't you do something? If you want something done, unfortunately, it's going to have to be at the state level. We rattle their cage, yeah. Do they listen to us? Sometimes no. Will they listen to you? Sometimes no. But they're more likely to listen to you than us. Because, yes, we're voters. They kind of look at us as, even though at this level we're really not, politicians with an agenda. All of us up here are nonpartisan, like it's supposed to be, and we're supposed to be looking after the best interests of the town, which includes residents, business owners also. So when we look at the big picture, I just hope that there might be something we can do to curb this back. Whenever I ran and when I was elected, the biggest thing on my agenda was controlled growth. We're not controlling our growth. It's out of hand. Now don't get me wrong, I am all for property owner rights. There's a guy downtown that can tell you that. Owns Bake, Bottle, and Brew. I stood up here and jumped on desks to make sure he was able to, nobody stepped on his rights to do what he did. Same thing for you. I will vote for it. I don't like it, but there's nothing really that I can do or we can do to stop the process.
Good point. Did you have something, Doug?
Yeah, I think this is the smartest growth you can actually do, considering the engineering firm that she plans to open there or maintain there. She's probably going to be the quietest neighbor you could probably have as far as B1 goes. Noise, infrastructure, I don't see this as an issue in this case. I think the type of business she's going to run out of there is kind of like opening a public library, a research center, you might say. So I look at it this way. She's going, every time that she closes a deal and gets paid and stuff, she's going to have a revenue stream and stuff, which, as you know, provides revenue for the town since she's in our town. So you have my blessing 100% on this one. I think it's a good move. I think it's a smart move.
Okay.
Well, I wasn't gonna say nothing, but sir, there's a ditch runs right along your property, isn't there? I can't, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
If you could come back up to the microphone, please, sir. Thank you.
From what I understand, it's a draining ditch that comes in from behind Walmart. It was there before Walmart, had a little pond back there. Took care of the drainage on that new, housing development.
So
It goes all the way down to Halls Creek, crosses the,
there's already a natural break there then,
oh, yes, sir.
right? So, you know, I think it's good use of the land. You know, if it gets made commercial, which everything else in that area, I drive by your house every day, 10 times a day sometimes. And, you know, if it got converted to commercial, you know, like the house across the street from you and the Rawls property and Wawa, and you know, we'll have a bigger mess down there. I'm glad you're buying it. At least we know what it's going to be for the next 10 years. I'm all for it. And we might even hire you to do something for it, according to Doug.
So I've just got a comment too, for Miss Weaver, if you could go back up. Are you going to keep the footprint of the building pretty much the same as it is now? You're not going to add to it or tear anything down, you know?
No, sir, the footprint, my intention right now is the footprint to remain the same. I don't have any intention of bumping it out.
Right. And how would the facade of the building look? What would you do with that? Would you keep it just like it is now, or would you put up something that looks a lot more commercial than residential, or what's your thought process on that?
No, sir, I intend to leave it as it is now. I may recite it at some point, but not within, I would say, 5 years.
They're pretty much the same as it is now.
Yes.
And I'm all for it too. I just had those questions that popped up.
Yeah,
Okay,
there may be a business sign that needs to be installed, but other than that,
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Okay. Thank you. One more? Okay.
Yeah, since this was a public hearing, we heard evidence. The evidence was it does fit into the growth plan, or the best place for growth plan by your purple zoned area, that this is the next area we expect to develop. So that's evidence, right? The other evidence is, hey, the firm she happens to run, which is an engineering firm, right? Like I said, her waste streams are going to be pretty much ink and paper and computer toner and printers and things like that. You know, all the infrastructure's there. It's not going to put a kind of a nuisance in the neighborhood or area. And that's, to me, that's evidence. Unless anyone's not got any comments on that at all here. Nothing to refute that, so.
Okay. So I guess that concludes all the comments. Can we have a motion to approve or deny? Approve, I would assume.
Motion to approve.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. So that passes unanimously. Thank you so much for coming in, putting in the time to present your side. Okay, Rebecca, go on now we're going to the UDO text amendment for Historic District Design Standards. And so Rebecca, if you'll present that to us.
All right. So next we have, it's a pretty simple text amendment to our UDO Appendix 3 Historic District Design Standards, specifically Section 14, Fences and Walls. It's just a small added sentence that the historic board thought would be useful to add just to be more specific. They recommended amendment to section 14 to make clarifications on fence guidelines. After direction and review by the Swansboro Historic Preservation Board, the purpose of the proposed text amendment is to keep the historic integrity of our district by requiring new fences visible to the public to be picket in style, not just wood and material as previously required. Section 14, fences and walls, bullet 4 is recommended to read, design new fences that are compatible with the associated building site, streetscape and height, proportion, scale, color, texture, material, and design. New wooden fences that are within the public view must be wooden picket in style and meet height requirements. We also are adding an example photo of what a traditional picket style would be. Synthetic fence materials such as vinyl are not appropriate in the historic district. And like I said, again, a photo example of picket fences is also recommended to be added after the bullet, just so there's no confusion. The planning board did recommend this text amendment at their December 3rd regular meeting. So you can see in your draft ordinance in the packet, I also added section 14, fences and walls, as it reads now. So we're really not changing much except just adding one sentence saying that it should be picket in style. There was an issue with an application that went through for a type of fence that was not picket in style, and there really wasn't much I could do to enforce it because it didn't clarify it. So we are just making that clarification so we don't run into that issue again. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Yes.
Mhm.
Obviously this, came from the Historic Commission.
Mhm.
How was that vote on this by the Historic Commission?
Oh, they were all in agreement with it. They all were in favor of adding it. We were already doing picket in style before. It just wasn't specifically outlined in here, so we're just making sure we're crossing all bases with that.
Yeah, Doug, go ahead.
You know, I can see the picture you got here, and that's a perfect picket fence, but
Mhm.
it doesn't mention things like specifics on spacing between pickets.
Mhm.
Is there any,
From what I heard from the board, I don't think they had that much detail. They just need it to be picket in style to be consistent with what you would historically see in that area. But they didn't choose to add the specifics of space between the
the
pickets or
reason I
anything
say
like
that is because there are some construction codes, when you put up vertical structure, if the gap is too wide and a young child sticks their head in between that, what you constructed, guess what? Raz, you see where I'm going on this, right? And then we pass the ordinance, and then some lawyer gets a hold of it and says, you didn't do this right. And that's just not the proper, now it's the town
So,
looking at it.
Just a
So,
clarification, just because it says it in this historic ordinance, they still have to do a fence permit, which goes through review to make sure it's following building code and ordinance and such.
so I guess the state has some kind of regulation that spaces vertical. And it's, here's
Paul
the
can
permit
speak on
guy coming
that,
up behind us.
Come on, Paul.
Cast some light for me.
Yeah, how you doing? So, yes, that would not pertain to fencing, just, deck pickets, railings, stuff like that. That would, anything over 32 inches off the ground.
I just see the thing that where a fence doesn't get put in the right place, and it's in the, how do you say it, the right of way? And then now it's on our property, not the owner's property. And you end up with something like skateboard volume version 2.
Yeah, unfortunately, we just can't regulate any kind of fencing, gaps, or anything like that. It's not in the building code, so it's not.
6 inches is the difference between.
I know, I understand what you're saying, because that's why they have the 4-inch rule on pickets and handrails and stuff like that. So that is the proper reason they have that in line, but there's just we have nothing to stand on as in fencing.
So I'm just saying, are we covered in the ordinance the way the text is right here?
What is that?
I guess I'm asking between you and
Mhm.
the lawyer.
So we do have a fence ordinance that goes more into specifics as far as not being in the right of way or height. It goes into detail. This is just for the historic district. So this applies for the historic district, but they also have to comply with our general fence ordinance that applies to the whole town. Yep. So there is more in place other than what you're seeing on this. This is specifically design related for the historic
And you
district.
just answered my question. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, all right, so now we'll, close the public hearing.
No, I don't think, did we ever make a motion to open it?
You're right.
Yep.
I'm trying to get out of here.
So
Okay.
moved to close public hearing.
Okay.
Well, we have to make a
We have
motion to open it
Can I get a
first.
motion to open a public hearing?
So moved.
Okay, so second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, so that passes unanimously. Did anybody have anything in the public hearing? Yep, public comments? Anybody from the Historic Society? Preservation guys? Okay. All right, then we'll close the public hearing. And so we'll,
Sorry, not to be nitpicky, but it would have to be a motion to close it too.
oh, Lord.
I'm sorry.
Oh, Lord, keep me straight. Okay, a motion to close?
So moved.
Second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for putting up with me and letting me feel this way.
You're doing a
my way
great job.
through. All right, so now all in favor of approving the ordinance number 2025-02? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So that passes then. Okay.
I voted for that 3 times.
You might do it 3 more. Yeah. All right, so we'll move to business non-consent.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. And Sonia will come up and do a presentation for us on that.
Good evening. On October 22nd, 2024, staff presented a fund balance policy designed to enhance the town's financial stability. The board tabled approving the policy until after the audit was received. The audit was presented at the December 10th, 2024 meeting. This policy is structured to protect against short-term revenue fluctuations, provide resources to address unforeseen emergencies, and establish guidelines for sound fiscal management practices. Staff is recommending setting a minimum fund balance threshold of 50% of annual expenditures. This level is proposed to ensure the town maintains adequate reserves to handle emergencies and sustain operational continuity. As of June 30, 2024, the fund balance was at 51% per the audit. Currently, the unassigned fund balance percentage of annual expenditures is at 48%. So the motion is to approve the fund balance policy as written.
Okay. Okay, anybody have any comments or questions?
Yeah, I do. Because
for it.
last thing we did here, get me if I'm wrong, but you guys asked for 50, and we specifically said between 35 and 45. And because the rest of the towns that do this are 35%. And we did the comparison. I even called some of the local folks and the stuff up on the coast. I made sure those hurricane counties were covered on this. And like Carteret, 35 fund balance resolution. Now they get hit harder than we did last time. Okay, so I just don't see why we need 50, and I'm not moving on this one until you get. I tell you what, you give me the tax 2 cents on 35 cents down to 33, I might move. But until you on this budget coming up, until you do that, this ain't happening.
Comparing those fund balance numbers to other jurisdictions is a little bit difficult because it depends on your general fund, your operating budget.
Right.
It's a percentage of your general fund expenditures, unassigned expenditures. When you look at somebody who might be similar to us, say Emerald Isle, who's probably has a smaller population, but you look at their total assessed valuation of what their general fund expenditures are, their fund balance is going to be probably 2 or 3 times ours, but the percentage might be half. It's somewhat reversed there because of their tremendous tax base they have, but they have an enormous fund balance dollar figure, but a very small percentage. That's typical for beach towns, and it tends to be, I think I think common sense would tell us that odds are we're going to have a storm sooner or later, and we need to have that ability to sustain ourselves for a short period of time with cash. Likewise, we're probably getting ready to embark on one of our largest capital projects we've ever done in town of Swansboro, building a EOC, fire and police station. When you have to apply, now you have to apply to the local government commission, and you have to go to them and make your case that you can service that debt. And they will go back and they interview you, they talk to you, they look at your audits. That's who we submit our audit to every year. And what they're going to do, I know what they're going to do, is look at our past 5 years, and our audit, our fund balance previously was up around 75% annually. And all of a sudden, the last 2 or 3 years, we've bought it down. And if we go in at 35, they're going to say, what's going on in Swansboro? That's my fear. And of course, then your financial institution is going to look at your audit and see that same figure, you might be a little more of a credit risk, and you may not get as good a interest rate on that financing piece that we might need to have for that project. So there's just some examples why I would be cautious to immediately drop it that quick. I think 50% for us is a good number where we are today. I would get it makes things a little bit more difficult planning for unforeseen large capital expenditures or events that we might have if we have a very low fund balance and I got to come back to you for some reason that we need something and we can't do it. That's where I'm coming from on why we picked 50%. I would go higher, but 50% I think I can live with that.
John, we've been higher for decades. All right. When we came into this office, we didn't have a resolution to maintain a fund balance at a certain level, a certain minimum, or a certain maximum. I'm saying we don't need more than 45% of our maximum budget or maximum fund balance in there per our operating costs. The rest of the counties can do it fine. The rest of municipalities can do it fine. They get loans, they get financed. This is about competition, and I'm competing with the dollars that these folks pay in property taxes. All right. So what we're saying is we don't need this, and I'm not going to use that word. I promised myself I wouldn't. Okay. This is something that we need to get in line with the rest of the municipalities out there, and we need to act like there's a stop to this gravy train that we've got here. Okay. I ran on this. All right. So I'm not moving on this one. Now, the only way you can entice me off my post right now is you right now tell me tonight that you're going to make it possible to cut these folks' property tax by 2 cents. And if you can't do that, then I'm getting the 45. And that's my starting point.
That is a board decision, what the fund balance policy is going to be and what the tax rate will be based on what your goals are for the year. We will bring to the board whatever the board desires. That's our job. Yep. Of course, we're not there yet, so I can't guarantee everything.
We're not tearing down homes, we're building them here. We're building businesses, we're not tearing them down. Businesses aren't leaving. So we're going to have continued revenue stream. I'm not worried about that. What I am concerned about is our attitude about how we handle a revenue. We don't have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem. And we need to get a hold of that. The only people that do that sit at this table right here, but we represent them and the stewards for their money. And this is something you can show good faith right now and recommend that we do this at 45, not 50.
Joe, you have anything?
Sure. Okay. Yeah, we came from, what were we, Sonia, when this board first set? 75%?
Yeah, it's somewhere around there.
We're coming down 25% in 1 year. That's a pretty steep decline, in my opinion. Hold up, Doug. I didn't interrupt you. So when we come down that fast, I agree that people are like, what's going on? Our quality of expenditures, I think, has been pretty high. We've been very diligent on watching what we're spending our money on, right? So we have expended a lot of funds. Do we need to keep it up there? My first thought when I first started talking about this is, well, we get money from all these different government organizations. If we have a hurricane, and then I learned, well, yeah, it comes, but it comes slow. We got to have some reserve money to act when it happens. We can't have it just, we can't wait on the federal government. And Western North Carolina will tell you that. I bet you California will tell you that too. So, if we are holding at 50%, we have made progress. Now, when I look around, I don't know that the city is that concerned about their tax base because they're fighting tooth and toenail to keep people from coming here and building. So, this here 50%, I support you on that. So, I know you don't want it, Doug, but you're one of five, brother. So,
1 of 5.
there you go.
Okay.
That's all I got to say, John.
All right, thank you.
Sorry.
Jeff,
Bill?
you have any comment?
Yeah, I would like to see it come down a little bit more. I could live with 45 with Doug, but I think that would be, for me, no way I'd go any lower than 45. I'm pretty flexible on this. Whatever the majority wants to do, we'll go with it just to get things moving down. As long as we keep it down from 75, 60, I'm good.
Pat, did you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah. So how about a compromise at 48%?
Is that it?
Because we've got 51% for the audit, and currently the unassigned balance is 48%. That would be a compromise.
Okay.
When we talk about it at budget time, we'll consider it.
Yep, okay. All right, so my thoughts on it are, obviously I want to watch our expenditures and all, but I'm going to put faith in John's and Sonia's expertise. I'm with Joe. We came down from 75% to 50 or 48 right now, I guess. 48, is that where we're at right now? I've got to say I agree with Joe on that you come down 25% in a year's time. Maybe we ought to level out for a minute, get our feet on the ground with this 50%, see how that works out for us. If it doesn't work out, if it's still too high, we could lower it. But I have all faith in Sonia and John's expertise on handling our budget, and I just have to go with no less than 50%. I'm like Joe. That money comes in slow. There's still people in the mountains suffering because they haven't been able to recover from the disaster that they had. So I got to say 50% is where I'm at with it. One last, okay, go ahead.
So can this be looked at mid-year?
We can look at it at budget
Okay.
again, and we
So-
can change it whenever, just bring it back to y'all, and we can just keep changing it. It's
Okay,
gonna be
so I
a,
would agree with Joe on the 50%, and maybe we look at it mid-year.
we can look at every budget year.
We
if you
should be able
want.
to do interim reviews of this,
Right.
at our behest, so.
Yeah. It's gonna fluctuate, and we're probably gonna have to
Okay.
make changes. so.
I do.
Okay, and then Jeff had something too.
Go ahead, Jeff.
How about, add it?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I asked the question. Look at it.
Okay, here's the progress part. Yes, we've made progress. All right, but the standard I'd like to set is one that's both realistic and competitive with the rest of the folks and the rest of the state and region where we live. That's what I'm fighting for here. I think, like I said, I still say we don't have a revenue problem. We don't, and I'll say it 1,000 times. Until you can show me the businesses are going out of business here in Swansboro and people moving away, but they're not. It means that every year we're bringing in more and more revenue, folks. Every year we find ways to spend that revenue, okay? And yes, 25% is progress. all right? But I think we can still do better, and we have to revisit, we'll revisit. I'll give you some ground here. Here's, like I said, it's gonna be an interesting budget, working groups we're gonna have here this year. And, how we spend revenue is gonna be something we really gotta look at. Because we're obligated, guys, we have something called the enumerated powers in this town, and we're responsible for public safety, we're responsible for infrastructure, all right, under our municipality. Some of the infrastructure is outside of our things like transportation. We can't touch those state roads. This staff works very, very hard to give you the kind of services you need. And those enumerated powers, sometimes we go outside those lines a little bit, beyond those powers. They're enumerated in this the directive we have to run this town. And we've been generous and charitable to our neighbors out west this year. We have. And I think that's where a lot of that fund balance probably went, out of the goodness of our hearts, because we could afford it. But at the same time, we've got to have that same responsibility when we ran for this office, not just to talk about it, but to actually do it. Because that's why y'all, hopefully some of you in this room voted for us to do these things. And that's where I'm going to stand on this one. I've looked, Sonia, I think you're a superstar when it comes to finance. And I think we've got the best town manager we could possibly have in the state and stuff. And keep giving me your honest opinions, and don't be afraid to tell me what you really think, because I'm going to tell you what I think. And somewhere in this thing, you got to convince this board to come to a majority somehow. That's how the sausage gets made. So God bless you all, and I guess my discussion time is now over.
I'll put that on mute. Okay, so I'd like to see if we can get a motion to approve the fund balance policy as written.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so it's 4-1, and so that motion passes. Okay, sorry, Doug.
Ooh, we on the last tab.
Yeah, we ain't wasting time. Because I'm skipping steps.
Good.
So now we're going to go to the NCLM 2025-2026 advocacy goal statements. Are we ready to present that? Okay.
Yes, sir. Each year, the North Carolina League of Municipalities Board of Directors produces a list of legislative goal statements for their membership to consider. This year, they distributed 16 different legislative goals, and this is both state and federal advocacy goals. What they do during the years, how they prioritize their time when they're talking with our state legislators, our members of Congress, on matters that are important to their membership, to their towns. Last week, we distributed that complete list to you. The league has asked us, or each town, each member, to come back with them with your top 10. You all submitted back to Elisa your list of what you thought our 10 priorities would be, and she's already compiled that. And I can just go over what our top 10 would be. And it's okay with you. I've got to, if I could be your delegate and submit those, submit that vote. Each member gets one vote, and we'll submit those 10 goals to the league by the 17th of this week. Number one was expand funding opportunities for disaster resiliency and recovery efforts. Number two was establish long-term funding streams that adequately address water, sewer, stormwater, transportation, and other infrastructure needs. Three, expand state transportation funding streams for construction and maintenance of municipal and state-owned secondary roads. Number four, provide local revenue options beyond the property tax. Five, support technical assistance programs to assist municipalities with securing or maintaining grants or other necessary municipal resources. Six, address the needs of a changing municipal workforce through state assistance that supports employee retention, including training and recruitment. Seven, update the annexation petition thresholds that make voluntary annexations easier to initiate. Eight, expand incentives and funding for local economic development. 9, create an orphan road program whereby the state improves those roads to North Carolina Department of Transportation standards before municipalities assume maintenance responsibilities. 10, preserve authority for extraterritorial jurisdiction to ensure that growth is well planned and investments by homeowners and business owners are protected. Those were your, as a group, the board's top 10 legislative goals, and I will submit that on your behalf this week.
Yep. Everybody good with that? All right, thank you, John. All right, Elisa, I guess we move to future agenda topics.
Thank you. I do not have any changes to the memo provided in your packet. Just to recap, we will have a meeting on Wednesday, the 22nd, for the mid-year budget review. That'll be a special meeting at 6 p.m. And then you'll have your regular January 28th meeting, which I have tentatively placed the appointment for the vacant mayor seat if you wish to take care of it then. We'll have our fire department quarterly update as well as the monthly financial report. Upcoming for February, on the 11th or the 25th, we will have the public hearings related to the Flybridge for their KMA land use amendment and their zoning map amendment to rezone the parcel, as well as the monthly financial report and the fire department report. Did anyone have any additional items they'd like to see added to future meetings?
Pat, do you have anything you'd like to see added?
Not at this time.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm good, brother.
Doug, you're contemplating, so.
We got three big items that deal with codes and busy to enumerate. That's anyone's getting a science problem.
I apologize. We are not able to hear Doug. We weren't able to hear you, Doug. I'm sorry.
You probably weren't on. Yeah.
I'm happy with the path we're on. A lot of the stuff in there for the future agenda items is enumerated and what we're supposed to be doing, where we're focused should be on. And then you got one in there that deals with individual liberty, which I'm happy about. But the stuff, some of that stuff might require some workshops, especially when we deal with the infrastructure and zoning and stuff. So before we make decisions and stuff like that, I'm sure you guys will give your best advice on attending a workshop. Make sure you get a fully informed, educated board before we have to decide those things, even if it's a day or a couple hours.
Okay. So, yeah, I don't have anything additional. I would like to see us maybe focus on the EMS update, if Jacob could bring us up to date somewhere on that. And maybe the UDO policy amendment, acceptance of streets, if we could. And that's already on the future agenda, but maybe if we can kind of start thinking when we would put what date it would go on. And that's all I have. Okay. So now we go to, there's no items moved from consent, right? Manager comments? Public comments? Okay, so we got public comments. We got three people signed up, and the first one would be Brad Phillips. And please come to the microphone and state your name and address, if you would, please. And this is for comment on anything, really, it doesn't have to be on the agenda.
Can you give me an open floor? Don't do that.
You got it.
Yeah.
Council, good evening.
Your name and address, please.
My name is Brad Phillips. I live at 204, my wife and I live at 204 South Walnut Street here in Swansboro. We've only lived there about 2 years, but I promise you we got here as quickly as we could. I come before you tonight as you begin to consider a new mayor and a new council member, subsequently a new council member. And I would like to strongly encourage you to consider for a council member, Jerry Seddon. Jerry is a neighbor of mine, but I'd offer that he's a neighbor to everybody in this town. He's smart, he's hardworking, he's a leader. That's something that I recognized very quickly when I met Jerry, that he's just a true leader. He's knowledgeable of the issues that we're facing in our town, and he's a solutionist. He knows how to come to the table with ideas that can work to solve those challenges that we're facing. Jerry is a fine person. I know his family. As I said, he's a neighbor. He's one of the first people I met when we moved into town. And we've become fast friends. So do I have a bias in my decision, or my encouragement for your decision is certainly for Jerry Sadden. He's a fine man, and I would like to see him continue as a leader. He served on the planning board. I think he's there now. He's serving on the Historic Preservation Commission board. He has been faced with the issues that that have been facing the town for quite some time. He knows the issues, and I think he can work hard to find the solutions. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for what you do. I know that you have a thankless job oftentimes, and personally, from my background, I appreciate it more than you know.
Thank you very much, Fred. Okay, the next one we have on the list is Wayne Herbert. If you would come up and state your address and your name, please.
Sir, thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Wayne Herbert. Wife and I live at 102 Oyster Bay Road here in Swansboro. I first arrived in Swansboro in 1994. I was an off and on military resident from 94 to 2007. I've been a full-time resident since 2007. My comments are directed towards the pending proposal for 324 apartments on land currently zoned as rural agricultural property. I'm not going to review the exact same notes that I presented at the planning board meeting last week. I personally noted that 3 of the commissioners were in the audience that evening, and thank you for attending. However, I do plan tonight to highlight and reinforce some of those key points and continue to advocate why this proposal is not good for Swansboro. The planning board delivered a recommendation to disapprove this proposal. With it, you should have their statement that this proposal is inconsistent with the relevant adopted plans. That plan is our 2019 town-adopted Swansboro Camel Land Use Plan update that was displayed on the board a few times this evening, which was outstanding to see. The town spent some considerable time, money, and intellectual effort to gain input, draft, approve, and source this document and get it approved with the state, with the North Carolina Coastal Resources Commission. It's a required document by the state. All 20 coastal counties are required to have this document. We can't now act contrary to it. To do so would make this plan irrelevant. More importantly, in my opinion, it would make irrelevant the feedback provided by our citizens. Our plan is there to help our community and you, the commissioners. Our CAMA plan cites numerous issues with this apartment proposal. On chapter 2, page 8, lists the major concerns of the stakeholders who are we, the residents and the property owners. The major themes of their concerns include charm, history, and community character, managing growth, maintaining quality of life, and ensuring agriculture is not entirely consumed by development. In chapter 3, community profile, our CAMA plan cites land supply, density, natural resources, and agriculture. Specifically on page 22, maps indicate portions of the parcel in question have been assigned biodiversity and habitat values. Page 27 of the same chapter cites resiliency and climate adaptation, and the corresponding map indicates coastal wetlands in the parcel. And finally, in the same chapter, as seen on the map tonight, under suitability analysis for development, this area is color-coded for least urban suitability. Chapter 5, future land use designations, depicts the parcel in question for development clearly as rural agricultural on pages 38 and 39. I offer for any rezoning, the burden to advocate for any adjustment is on the proponent, which in this case is an LLC based out of Sanford, North Carolina. And that advocacy must show what is the positive impacts for our community. I also offer that any claims that this proposal will increase the tax base should require a detailed economic analysis found on page 20 of our own CAMA plan to determine the exact overall economic relationship and parallel to the negative impacts the development will have on our community. CAMA public surveys are also found in the appendix, and 2 separate questions indicate citizens of Swansboro are not interested in more multifamily homes and amenities, townhomes and apartments. Both of these questions garnered less than 5% of the favorable votes. Our own Swansboro, North Carolina Code of Ordinances addresses zoning and rezoning and cites our town board of commissioners' responsibility for rezoning proposals, developing a statement describing plan consistency with existing documents and policies, and making a statement analyzing the reasonableness of proposed rezoning. I'll quote it. That reasonableness statement may include detriments to neighbors and the surrounding community, unquote. I, along with my fellow citizens, offer this proposal will be detrimental to neighbors and the surrounding community. Our community has generated a petition against this development, which I understand now has over 1,150 signatures. In regards to the petition, bluntly, I've never heard of any such type petition here that has impacted a Swansboro issue that has garnered that level of participation. I think it truly is impressive and profound. In closing, the people are speaking and they're asking for your assistance. Our planning board answered the call with an appropriate recommendation for we the people. We are now asking the Board of Commissioners, it sounds like next month, our elected officials to do the same. You have the authority. You can cite tangible items that impact our residents daily, and they've been brought up numerous times. Overcrowding in schools, infrastructure challenges to include roads and utilities, which includes water and electricity, and providing services to include fire, police, and EMS. We could also cite confidently our own land use plan and ordinances in support of your decision to disapprove this development. Again, I can't stress enough, if we marginalize our CAMA plan, I believe it will be incredibly difficult or nearly impossible to gain critical public input for future updates to the plan and participate in forums like the Planning Board and the Commissioners' meetings. The people of Swansboro are going to remember this simply because it's going to impact them. There's no other way to say it. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak this evening. I know this is the second time some of you have heard from me in this sort of setting, but I think the issue is that important for the people of Swansboro. Thank you.
Thank you for your participation. Okay, next we have Kim Oliver Kingery, and just state your name and address, please.
Hi, I'm Kim Oliver Kingery. My address is 212 South Elm Street. I think all of you know who I am. And I'm not here to speak about historic. I'm actually here to thank you for hearing this theme over and over tonight, that you all know that you have to do what's right for Swansboro. And sometimes it's a decision that we don't like. It's just like me as an employer having to interview people within my company. The person I like the most might not be the most qualified. So I'm standing behind Brad, but I want you to know that I think it's really important for you all to take consideration if you're going to appoint a commissioner, that the person that gets appointed is the one with the most experience. There's nothing more frustrating than joining a board with folks who mean well and want to serve. You never want to turn those people away. I mean, anybody that wants to volunteer, you want their help on your commission. But in 2019, I joined a commission and no one knew what they were doing. That's not to say you can't teach someone, but your positions are up here and the other boards are down here. So having somebody that's well-rounded, I advocated to get Jerry back on my board. I'm advocating now to kick him off my board and for you all to consider him as one of your choices. I think it's really important that you really take a look at what the people want, and the people want somebody with experience. That's really all I have to say, and thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that's everybody that was signed up. Is there anyone else that would like to make a comment? Yep. Okay, okay. If you'll state your name and address, please.
Tim Vanoy, 105 Cormorant Drive, Swansboro, Halls Creek North. First of all, thank you for allowing me to continue on the planning board. If most of you don't know here, it's a pretty tough deal. Luckily, we've got the ladies here to help us out. But some things that consideration for people here to know that, first of all, we got to follow the law. Follow law, understand what the people want, and continue to do that. We make hard decisions at least once a month for the planning board. Recommendations to you to take in consideration. One of the latest ones we did with these folks here selling their place. We recommended some conditions be on it. Bill, you hit it on the head when you discussed on what the plan is going on. That was our concern. But I have to agree with Mr. Conway here, is being careful on what we are commercializing around here. And what I'm going off of that is ride down the main road and see how many commercial businesses we have for sale. And I would ask you to look at the price of them, the reason they haven't sold. But what better way than me to go purchase a rural home that is a third of the price of what it is down the commercial. So I would ask you to go look at those prices and see what it is when we are selling things that are previous homes and compare them to the prices that are running down the road. If I was going to stay to business, I would see if I could find something that was off the street and purchase it for a third of the price and commercialize it. And now I have my next sale that I can sell a business that's a big growth on that. So I just hope you understand that, and I appreciate you bringing that up on that deal. I think this is a perfect sale here. I agree with the folks here. I think she's going to do wonderful things, but just be mindful of what's to come. Obviously, a lot of concerns on these apartments that are coming up. I hope the board is understanding the recommendations that we've pushed. We don't always agree. I got Jerry here, which he's up. I think he'd be a fine candidate sitting up here. We didn't agree on that, and that's okay. But the thing of it is we all have things that we bring to any of these boards, but I hope you guys are understanding why we're doing those recommendations, whether if it's the way you want to vote or not, but understanding that we are trying to do the best work we can to present to you, and also we're hearing these people. So I hope you take that in consideration, but I appreciate your time.
Thank you for your comment, and thanks for serving on the planning board for us. Okay, anybody else? Okay, you have to just step up and state your name and address, please.
Hello, folks. I appreciate you letting me come up and speak. My name is Tim Simpson. Live on 609 West Shore Drive. My wife and I have been here over 38 years. I've made my living on the water all that time. It's a safety issue I'm here to discuss. It's the no-wake zone that Swansboro has under North Carolina Statute 75-15. It indicates Swansboro has a no-wake zone existing 50 yards from shore from the Swansboro Bridge past Casper Marina a few yards. Initially, it had been marked with no-wake buoys. There are none at this time. The wakes in Swansboro throughout the waterfront cause damage. I know Mr. Conaway mentioned he helped the Bake Ball and Brew with their dock facility, which has been much more congested than it was in the past. Actually, it's allowed the town dock not to accommodate the size dock boats that used to be there. I don't know why the no-wake buoys are gone. I know one of the employees with the town called me last year, or this past year, when he was wanting to know where to put the buoys, and I told him to look at the coordinates. These buoys are expensive, and when they're gone, the municipality is responsible for replacing these buoys. So if you are going to put the buoys back, hopefully you can do it a little bit better and make them stay instead of just drifting away. But they're very important to boaters coming in and going up the White Oak River to let them know they're in a no-wake zone. Without these buoys, they don't know. So I'm trying to keep an accident that may happen. I know Casper Marina is a fueling facility. The town dock has boating that comes and goes daily. So I just want to address that safety issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Okay, anybody else have anything they'd like to step up and talk about? Okay. All right, so we'll close the public comment section now and go to the manager's comments. So, John?
Just a couple things I wanted to make the board aware of. This week, DOT released a statement that they are going to form a storm drain pipe replacement on Main Street Extension, which is going to require the closure of the street between January 21st and January the 30th. So anybody making to be the area of Main Street Extension between Swansboro Loop and Old Hammocks Beach, you won't be able to turn right on the Main Street Extension from Old Hammocks, and you won't be able to turn right onto Main Street from Swansboro Loop for that time period. If you recall, Tanks had a lot of issues with drainage in Main Street, particularly at Swansboro Loop and Main Street Extension. That water comes down from Swansboro Loop and turns and goes up Main Street, goes across an undersized pipe, then comes back down Main Street Extension. What they're going to do is just put one pipe straight across the intersection at Main Street and Swansboro Loop, a pipe size to handle the storm runoff from upstream, so we can kind of alleviate the drainage problems that we've been having at that intersection. So which is good because we've been waiting for Main Street to be paved. And they couldn't pave Main Street Extension until this project was done. They've already let the paving contract go. It's to be completed by November 25 this year. So 2 good projects on Main Street, and hopefully, we'll see a lot of improvement in the drainage there following the project that they're going to do. So just be aware the road's going to be closed. I know that the road gets a lot of vehicular traffic. A lot of people might have to take alternate routes for about that 10-day period. And the other item is the sidewalk RFQs are out. That's our big $500,000 project of fund balance we appropriated this year. There might be some people here interested in sidewalk design. I don't know. Good timing. Those went out today. That's on our website. So hopefully we'll get some good interest from engineering firms that could help us design and administer that construction project. That's all I have, unless you have any questions.
When they repave Main Street Extension, will they widen it a little bit, do you think? Or do you have any idea if they made any indication?
They are not going to improve the width of Main Street. It's just going to be from 24 to 24, just an inch and a half of asphalt.
That's all I have. Anybody have questions?
Of course I have.
Okay, Joe, go ahead.
John, the sidewalks, the priority list, is the list pretty much all inclusive of what we've discussed?
I put all 4 of your priority projects in that RFQ. Now, when we go out, when we get it designed, you go out to bid for it, I don't know if you still have a $500,000 general fund funds you put appropriated. Then you've also have an old SCIF estate grant you got for sidewalks a couple of years ago of $100,000. You've got $600,000 right now without any additional funding. A lot of those sidewalks, there's a lot of distance on some of those sidewalk projects, and I don't know if there's going to be a lot of engineering that's going to be involved and stormwater permits that we're going to have to get to make it happen. So we won't know until we bid it out to see what kind of unit prices we get for each project. But we'll bid each project out individually, so maybe you can do 2 of them, and we'll have to do the other 2 later. I just don't know yet.
Well, I just know that the longer we wait, the less concrete we get for our money. So
yeah, price.
Keep it moving. Thank you, John.
Okay, so that's it. So now let's move to board comments. And Pat, would you like to lead us off?
Sure. Staff, thanks for everything you do. I know you've worked hard during the holiday season, and I appreciate everything that you do. Folks that came to the meeting tonight, it's great to see so many people that are here and have an interest in what we're doing. So thank you for being here and making statements.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know one of the things at the beginning of the meeting that we did that some of you may not have caught on to is we adopted a resolution opposing Senate Bill 382. If you haven't heard about that, basically in a nutshell, what it's coming down to is they're not trusting municipalities when it comes to rezoning and what gets built where and what's going on. So we had unanimous approval to oppose it. From my understanding, Senator Lazara encouraged us to do that. And apparently the way the bill was all put together, they didn't have time to pull things apart out of it. They passed it as was to get it passed. And there's going to be another vote on it coming up, I think, next week.
Sometime
next week. Yeah. And hopefully those things will be taken out that are currently handcuffing us, and we can get back to what we're supposed to be doing. Thank you for coming. Thanks for being passionate for what you guys believe is wrong. And we'll keep trying to do what's right for the town. Thank you.
Okay, Doug?
Yeah, I want to thank the staff, everybody. Son, you have my condolences as well for passing your mother. Chief, I just wanted to follow up with you to make sure that the officer that was involved in that pursuit, that we did follow up on that and that he's doing okay and still, that it can be traumatic. I know I've been in those shoes, believe it or not. When loss of life is involved in any incident. But thanks to our police department, our firefighters out there for doing such a fantastic job. Rebecca, doing a great job in planning and keeping us appraised of what's happening, what ordinances we gotta stay on top of. Parks and Rec, great job again. And I know you're already thinking about Mullet Fest 10 months from now. I think you got a new team there, some new blood coming in to help you with those decisions and events, and I hope good things come from those nominations tonight. Chief, great job there with the fire department. I see you guys deploy a whole lot for some reason. I'm just in the right place at the right time, and I don't think there's a time on 24 where I don't see that the engine comes steaming by me, and I'm like, God bless those guys for every call they go out on, all the things they do. John, love you, man, I do, and I respect you great. We're going to get this tax cut. I'm telling you right now. Come hell or high water, we're going to get her done. Thanks for y'all for coming out tonight and being interested in what the town wants to get done in the future of this town. Remember, we're trying to make decisions that not just for the next 2 years, 5 years, but the next 40 and 50 years. We all moved to Swansboro for a reason. We like it. And I think we're lucky that we have the chemistry that we have as a small town here. Keep that small town feel. Keep our historic district. Keep our history. Tell it to everybody that wants to hear it. I think it's a big attraction for folks to come here. And I think we need to, the tourism guys, hey, we gotta really get creative this year. We gotta think of ways that we can target that tax money that the tourists come here for. They're gonna keep coming. And we gotta be smart about what we're doing here as far as infrastructure and everything at the same time. And we don't want to ruin the look of this town. And yes, every decision that comes up here, I think of what's the impact of this decision 10, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50 years from now. I don't want to look like Jacksonville. I don't want to look like Holly Ridge, and I don't want to look like Hampstead. So I'm not making those mistakes. I've seen them make twice. Okay? God bless you all.
For all the public folks that came here, the citizens, thank you for coming. Good luck on your new company. Congratulations on the sale of your property. I think I'm assuming you're just going to go and enjoy a retirement. There you go. It's going to give you the funding to do that. I think that's awesome. That's what we're doing down here. Enjoying our retirement. Then I became a commissioner. No, I love this. This is a great job. A lot of consideration to be made here. We've heard for candidates for the soon to be open position. I think the board has a lot to think about, and we're going to take our time and mull through that. I'd like to see us kind of interview the people that are seeking those positions. The elephant in the room is the development down the road. We're not going to discuss that anymore tonight. We've got that coming up. It's going to be interesting. Obviously I need to go back and read my comma plan, right? My land use plan, and be as expert as I can on it. And I'm going to do that starting tomorrow. Right now I haven't had dinner, and that's where I'm going when I get done here. So staff, again, fabulous job, all of you. We're going to get our budget straight. It is straight. Sonia does a great job, and I remember our last budget contest we had. It got a little dicey, but we did all right, and we're going to be okay again. Thank you for coming. Love it. Have a great day. Have a good night. Bill?
Yep. Well, I'm just going to throw a blanket thank you to all those people sitting over there at those tables. If you look at that table, those tables over there, those are who really keep the town running. So we all owe them a nod of appreciation, because that's who keeps the town running. Yeah. But as well, you guys are what keep the town running too. So it's nice to see a turnout and involvement of the community. It's just really nice to have you here. You had a full room at the planning board the other night, and be nice to see this room filled up every night. But again, thanks to everybody. It's really an honor and privilege to be able to sit here and help, do what we can to serve you guys. And so it is an honor and a privilege. And it's an honor and privilege to serve with these guys. We've had one of the best working boards that I've never been on a board like this before, but on other, in my previous life. But this has been a really pleasure to work with every one of these people on this board. And I think we understand we have our differences and we have our likenesses, and we don't take those beyond this room when we're out of here. It's just as civil as it could possibly be. And it's nice to be a part of that. So with that being said, all the kumbaya stuff's out of the way. Yes, I do. So we're going to go into closed session, so we'll have to open that. So I'm going to read the statement here. We're going to enter a closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11. Section 3 is to consult with an attorney employed by or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged. And number 5 is to establish or to instruct the public body's staff or negotiating agents concerning the position to be taken by or on behalf of the public body in negotiating the price and other material terms of a contract or proposed contract for the acquisition of real property by purchase, option, exchange, or lease. So with that, I need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
I need a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? So we'll go into closed session. I don't see that we'll have anything to report after the closed session tonight. So you guys are welcome to hang out if you'd like to, or you can go home. And with that, we'll go into closed session. Yep. Oh, Lordy. God, he likes to talk.
The limitations of the job. That's, I get a little frustrated. I go home and read the Constitution.
Go home and read the Constitution.
And I read the letter that, what do they call it, the directive to the town side. You're looking at the mayor,
Go ahead.
the commissioner-mayor model. That's why I said. We
Yeah.
started lives with this board.
I'm not discussing nothing.
And people need to hold this board accountable.
Well, yeah,
I don't disagree.
I agree with that 100%.
Listen, my book is right up
Pick
here.
up the folder. Folder's that. Gotta turn to me.
Yeah, but don't we have to wait for them to come back?
Who? No, works for you.
Okay. All right. So there's nothing to report from the closed session, so we'll now adjourn the meeting. Get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Unanimous. So thank y'all
You
very
don't have
much.
to read the.
No, I don't think so. But I don't know.
You did a fine job, Bill.
Yeah, whatever.
I think you did a good job.
I get ahead of myself a little bit.